Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another wrap up. Today I'll be wrapping up books 10 through 12, I think, not sure. Check the title, it's probably a lot more correct than I am because it's so hard to keep track of these things. Not, but still, lazy. And actually there's 3 arcs that I want to talk about and these books all come out today. So if anything that I say sounds interesting, you can just go to the store and get one of these books or all of them if they sound interesting, whatever. And there's also one additional book that I'm going to talk about at the end, but let's get to these arcs. So the first arc is Sightwitch by Susan Dennard, and I'm not reviewing this book because I only received a preview of the book, so I don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it in like a review type of way, so I'm just going to tell you my impressions of the preview that I received. So Sightwitch is part of the Witchlands series. It's actually the prequel to Truthwitch and Windwitch, and in it we follow the character of Ryber, who we met in Windwitch, and we get to learn a lot more about her. I really like the format of the book because it's formatted as a diary, so we have diary entries from Ryber and one other character who lived thousands of years before, or just 1,000 maybe, and there's also maps, sketches, and sort of notes from books, and I really enjoy that because it's fun to have a different type of format of a book. And from what I've read, we get to learn a lot about Ryber, about the history of the world, how witches came to be, how they evolved, how they are the way they are today. We also get to learn more about sight witches and everything that involves around them, and there's also this mystery that it's happening, and it's all very fascinating. So I do recommend you getting this book, especially if you are a fan of Witchlands series. I think in that case you will definitely want to pick this one up. Then let's get to the books that I actually read in their entirety, and the first of those is Pretty Boy Must Die by Kimberly Reed. I received an ARC copy of this book from the publisher Via NetGalley, and I would like to thank them for that because I really enjoyed it. And again, it comes out today, so you're lucky people. And this is a young adult action-y spy thriller type of book, although thriller is maybe pushing it. And it tells the story of Peter. He is around 17 and he's working for the CIA. And in the beginning of the book, we get to see him undercover in Ukraine. There's this arms dealer gang, and he's trying to break it, or actually he's after the hacker that is working for them. So things don't actually turn out the way he hoped, and the hacker escapes, and people in the CIA are not happy with him. And months later, we find him in the Carlisle Academy, and he's a student there, and actually again undercover because he believes that the hacker that escaped him in Ukraine is actually there, pretending to be a student, and Peter is determined to actually catch him this time, whoever that is. And as he's doing that, his picture gets taken and posted on Twitter, and then it starts trending really widely, and his cover gets blown. So the bad guys that were after him actually get to the school and invade the school, and then it's up to Peter to actually save his ass, get the hacker, and save the school as well. So that's the premise of the story, and it was a lot of fun. There's action all the time. It was really enjoyable, easy to read. It's actually a book that doesn't take a lot of emotional investment, so it's really light and enjoyable. Peter as a character is fantastic. He's very smart, of course. He is adaptable. He's sort of a young MacGyver type of guy. That's how I imagine him. And he's also very sensible as well, which is something that I appreciate in young adult characters. Well, characters in young adult books. He actually is aware of the fact that he is not a fully trained agent, and that there are some things that he's not capable of doing. So he's actually scared sometimes, and I really like that. He's not overestimating his powers or abilities, and I like that a lot. He also has this best friend called Bunker for reasons, and I really like that guy. He sort of provided the humor in this book, and I like the dynamic between them. He sort of reminded me of Stiles and Scott from Teen Wolf, especially in the first 2 seasons, and I really enjoyed them. Of course, there's a bit of romance in there, but it's not in your face, but story-wise it does play a part, but it's all very well done, I think. So yeah, I actually really ended up enjoying this book, and I do recommend it, especially, during the summer. I think it's perfect for that. If you have a young adult in your house that doesn't want to read, maybe give them this book and they will read it, hopefully. But yeah, and the last arc that I've read is the Book of the Whispers by Kimberly Starr, which again comes out today, although I'm pretty sure it was published somewhere in the world before today. But don't quote me on that. Anyways, this is a young adult historical novel with paranormal elements, it's how I would classify it. And it tells the story of Luca. He's living in the 11th century in Tuscany and he's the heir to the estate. He's living a pretty normal life, except for the fact that he can see demons. And at one point in his life he was talking about them to people, and he had exorcism done on himself, and of course it didn't work. But since then he became slightly smarter and he doesn't mention them as much. But aside from that, he's living a normal life. And then one day he is told by his father that his father is going to join a crusade and that Luca has to stay behind and take care of the estate. And Luca then has this dream in which he sees his father murdered, and he's then adamant that he will join the crusade as well, but his father refuses, and then he basically goes behind his back, and his father is not pleased, but he doesn't have an option but to let Luca come along. And then, to make things even more complicated, Luca receives this book called the Book of the Whispers that he doesn't really understand, but he's intrigued by it, and soon he realizes that the book has a mind of its own and also has plans. So yeah, that's the basic premise, and it sounded fantastic to me. Sadly, the book disappointed me. I just didn't care for it. Actually, it started off pretty well, but soon I realized that I do not like the writing, and calling it hollow is sort of harsh, but it just didn't make me feel connected to the characters, to the story. I just couldn't care less about everything in it. I didn't care about the characters, I didn't care about the plot, so that was really disappointing. Now the characters, Luca is sort of this righteous young man. He does everything right. He, God forbid, he would do anything wrong ever. He is all about justice, and that's fine. But you're going on crusade, guy. It's not gonna work out like that anyways. And then we have Susan, who is a character that we meet along the way, and she has a really interesting background, and some of it was sort of used in the story. But I did wish that we could learn more about her, especially her background, not so much her because she was born. But yeah, never mind that. And I just could care about them, and there's of course a bit of insta love, because the first moment that they meet, it's like you feel that they were fated, and they're, for reasons they do not, get together and everything, but still, it was annoying. Then, I don't know, the demons, that was one of the interesting parts of the story. I did not expect that there would be that many demons, and I did like the concept of how they were used and what purpose they served, and of course all the symbolism along the way. But again, it was not enough. I mean, at the end of the book, honestly, I was just reading it to finish it so I would see what this whole business with demons was about. And when I got to the end, I actually just didn't care anymore about that either. So that was disappointing again. But I did like the historical elements. I've never actually read about a story that would take place during the Crusades, and while you do learn about them in school and the university, I never thought about what life on the way there was like. You expect here there's bloodshed and war and all that and fighting, but what was like the everyday life of those who were on a crusade, the pilgrims and the knights and all that, what that was like, I never actually thought about it. And I think that was well done, although I do wish there was more of it again, but yeah, I mean, all in all, I never want to say this is a bad book. It just wasn't right for me. I'm pretty sure that it has an audience out there, and if it sounds interesting, just maybe borrow it, buy it, whatever, and try it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I feel so bad when I have to say negative stuff about books, but yeah, anyways, we just didn't get along, And then the very last book that I'm going to talk about is one that I'm not going to talk about much because it's the fourth book in the series, and that is The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, which is book 4 in his Wheel of Time series. And I'm sort of getting tired about, you know, just talking about these books because I always tell you the same spiel because I cannot tell you more since it would probably spoil the stuff. And yes, let's do it again. I mean, I still have, what, 10 books to go. So we'll be hearing this a lot. But this is a story of a bunch of boys who live in this small village, and one day they realize that they're endangering the village because there's some people after them, and they decide to leave it in order to protect themselves, their friends and families as well. They want to find out what is going on, and they join this woman called Moraine, who's an Aes Sedai. And Aes Sedai are women that are able to wield the power, and she also has a companion called Lan, and all these people are actually then joined by a bunch of girls who, well, just cannot stay out of other people's business and decide to go along, basically. And there's a lot of adventure, we meet a lot of different characters, there's a lot of prophecies. It's very Tolkien-ish, sort of slow moving, the pace is slow, but there's a lot of, you know, history to this world, and of course Robert Jordan did take his time with 14 books. So I am enjoying these books. I am starting to realize that I will have to pay a lot more attention to actually the plot and the story. There is so much going on, subtly, but still there's a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, I will start to get lost if I don't start paying a lot more attention, because there's these different people and their different prophecies, they're sort of interconnect, and it's all starting to get really blurry. So yes, next book I will be focused on it. Yeah. Anyways, I do complain a lot about the women in these books. I have to say that yes, in the first half they were really annoying, and there's sort of, I don't know, did I get used to them or they stopped being as annoying? The thing is that I always complain about how men are just incapable to do anything without women. They're silly, they're stupid basically, and they're just, yeah, they would be lost without women. And the men are just men, honestly. These are, you know, the 3 boys that I talk about, they're teenagers, they're, you know, what do you expect from them, seriously? And but they are starting to grow into their own fate, I guess. They are starting to take charge, they do not just simply follow orders anymore, and I really like that, and maybe that's why women are not complaining as much. But I do know, let's just say I was thinking about this book, and I was like, when you see conversations in this book between women and men, it's like men just never have a clue what the women are talking about, and it's like in real life basically. I mean, we talk and the men are just lost, and then you try to explain them, but you know, but why didn't you say it like that or whatever. I was talking in metaphors, and oh, there's so much confusion, and communication is hard. But yeah, actually I am really starting to enjoy these boys a lot, because I don't have like a favorite character, but I really am liking how they're taking charge. That is a plus, a great plus for me. I'm also really enjoying the relationship between Aviendha and Rand, as confusing as it is for him. He has no clue what's going on even, and I'm just loving that confusion. And I'm not sure even what's exactly is going on, but still, or why is it happening at all. But I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, this was a great read, and moving on to the next one. Although I'm starting to worry that I'm probably not going to finish this series this year. Maybe I'll have to squeeze a few books there at the end. But yeah, anyways, those are all the books that I wanted to talk about to you today. I hope you found something for yourself, and yes, thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye!